we wanted to start recording this for you guys because I flew out to New York. We're here at Jeremy's new office, and it's totally incredible. We're here at the podcast studio, and we were having really high-level conversations, and we thought, why don't we just take these conversations to the podcast booth?
And also do a joint episode of the Short-Term Rental Pros and Patryk Real Estate Show
there you
podcast.
Go. Heck yeah. And so I think that we had some really good conversations. And I think one of the big things we talked about, and it's crazy, it's interesting because we can film this podcast right now and have everybody listen to the same conversations that we're having. These are conversations that can get you to the next level.
Wait, can we talk about what was the last podcast conversation we had, or where was that? Just to give some context of our relationship and why we talk and shoot the shit so much.
Yeah, for sure. I think, I helped you and your now fiance get engaged in Joshua Tree. We had a podcast episode. You said you wanted it on the boulders, so we did it right on the boulders, and she was waiting there patiently.
Just to give some context, Patryk has an awesome real estate portfolio, largely centered in Joshua Tree. He let me and my fiance go check out the different properties for the day. And we finished off what we claimed to be filming a podcast. We actually didn't talk before if we were actually going to film the podcast or not. That wasn't something we even cemented. But once we got up there to the top of a property that your business partner Josh now owns, beautiful property, boulders. He showed me pictures of what he's doing to it. Absolutely crazy, like circular, crazy property. So when we were at the top, it probably like 40 minutes from sunset. So we're like, all right, what are we gonna? We can't just like sit up here for 40 minutes. Obviously, I want to take get the engagement pictures in the sunset, obviously.
Right.
You only get this one time,
Yeah,
you can't Photoshop the sunset in there. So we're like, all right, we actually have to film. And then our photographer, Christian, he was like, oh, do you guys have mics?
He didn't know he was recording the podcast. He's like, oh, I'm just here for the photos. What the heck?
And actually, Kate had mics, I believe. So we actually did. So if you guys want to listen to that one, we're a little bit space cadet and scatterbrained at times because we're just looking at the
we're looking at the sun to make sure it's like going down. It's like, oh, this is the perfect time. We got to close it up right now.
All right, we're ending. Yep.
Let's go. Done. But yeah, I know Jeremy for quite a bit. It feels like I've known you a lot longer. I think it's because we hang out, I feel, and talk a good amount. But yeah, I think one of the conversations I really wanted to bring up is about being in the right rooms. I think this is what this event is all about. Maybe talk a little bit about the event and like getting in the right rooms.
Yeah, so Patryk just hosted a conference, STR Nation San Diego, which was awesome. John and I were talking about it when we did our podcast, which will probably be released previous to this one. And it was fun, like great energy. And we said, oh, it's because Patryk's like young and fun and energetic. That's why, like, it makes sense that a conference he put on would mirror him. So it was a lot of fun. I'm telling you, your conference is actually like, I'd say the most fun conference that
you're gonna make this hard to stop doing the conference. At least pausing it, right? But maybe we'll revisit that conversation.
Yeah. This is a sales pitch.
Yeah, this is a sale for next year. Yeah. But now we're in New York and we're gonna go talk to a bunch of people. I think a lot of your mastermind students, the people that you work with, and they're gonna learn from the best of the best. I mean, we had John Bianchi fly in, freaking legend in the space. So I think it's gonna be really cool. And we're all young guys. And I think that's the common thread that I see is like we're young guys that have found our tribe that, it's hard to do that in our world because people our age, I'm 27. I think you're 27 too.
Correct.
Yeah. So people our age, what are they doing in New York? They're partying at the clubs.
It's a Friday night. We're filming a podcast right now.
We're filming a podcast.
We're going to go to Dumbo House later. Come on.
We'll have a good time, but it's like classy. It's great. We're going to have great conversation. We're going to talk very cool different things, but it's not going to be the same thing as like, oh, what girl were you sleeping with last night? It's not like we're past that already. Like you're engaged, to your fiance, and I have 4 years with my girlfriend. Like we're committed relationships. We're talking game. Like how do we level up? How do we get to the next place, right? And it's like having that community is huge, especially people our age, because there's really not that many people out there that do that and can get really lonely.
Absolutely. And so to lay the scene, right now we're in our office, which also when we got the space, I was like, oh, I want this to be a place where I can host, those who my colleagues, my friends, my mentees. So that's really what this weekend is the first example of that. Unfortunately, a little bit of flight issues,
It's a little bump in the road.
Yeah, which I know we talked about in the previous pods, but yeah, everybody's flights either got delayed, canceled. But Patrick made it from California. John made it. Another one, Federico, is coming in from Spain. He said he's going to get here by 9 a.m. tomorrow. Fortunately, Michael Chang lives in New York City. But the point is, we're getting people that we care about, that are aligned, have similar goals, and we're getting in the same damn room. And you get everyone energized, excited, talk about the right topics, and you use this as a benchmark and say, hey, next time we're in this room, you better have progressed. You want to stay in this room? You're in the right room. You're in the right room. Let's grow this room together. And the way we do that is by being individually and collectively successful.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we all grow together. I think rising tides lifts all ships, and I believe in that wholeheartedly. I think a lot of times people are around the wrong group, and the whole saying, show me your 5 closest friends, and I'll tell you where you're going to be and what you're going to do. And I think that's so true. Leveling up, even growing out of your friendships. Have you grown out of some of your friendships, like in the last 5-10 years? Just people that you've known in your life.
I don't even know if I've grown out of my friendships. I've just like at different time, when I was in high school, I had my high school friend group, and like I'm still
Still close to them, yeah.
close with them, but it's just obviously like they're all together this weekend in Wilmington, North Carolina. I was actually sad. My childhood best friend Andy was supposed to be here. Like I was like, Andy's also in the Airbnb business. Andy helped me with my second boat rental location. So he was going to be here, which I was really excited about. It's first time coming to New York, but then our high school friends, and then granted, one of our friends, girlfriends, like was sick, and like this is her first weekend not being sick, so I get it. But yeah, definitely, I feel like friend groups that I've been friends with have stayed like they're like so tight, and I'm still friends with them, but yeah, obviously, like
Different paths,
I'm
right?
meeting new people. I'm doing new
Mm.
things. I'm
Yeah.
becoming, you and John, we're gonna go have dinner. Like we're close friends. It's so it doesn't mean you've like grown out, but it's just like it's also you're probably the type of person you just like to meet new people too, and I'm the same way too.
Yeah.
So
I think you're right. Like growing out of a friend group, I think is different than what I meant. I think more so like I think we take different paths. And it's funny because my
you just
close
make more friend
make more
groups.
friends, but my closest friends live in New York. We're gonna meet up on Sunday. So, that's kind of the awesome thing is like we stay connected, but it's lonely in the respect that you have to find new friends because you're in a different place, right? You're talking about acquiring properties, about getting to the next level of like how do we actually scale this? How do we get super properties? How do we mitigate the potential looming recession that's going on, right? Things of that nature, and growing the wealth and the businesses that we run.
And yeah, you've done some crazy things. So since we were on, I think when we were on those boulders, you were saying, hey, can't really talk about this right now, but in talks to buy another property management business.
Yes,
You closed on it.
we have.
You
Yeah,
closed on it a few months back, and then it seems like you've just had it's the property management business. I'm not going to say like, obviously look at a ton of Airbnb listings. I know John might be like one of the only people who probably might look at it like twice as many as me, because I look at a
yep.
lot of freaking Airbnb properties, and I had seen the co-host company before. Like
Interesting.
I'd seen it. Like it's the properties are, they were, if you're like a person who follows Airbnbs and like looks at which ones are like doing well and tries to figure out why they're doing well, that brand is an outlier. And I'd say it's probably the most well-known short-term rental property management business in the world. I think there might be one. There's the guy based out of California who has a few thousand, but I can't even tell you the name of it. But I follow him online. I followed him for a few years,
Right.
but I think it's like, so the fact that you've acquired this brand, I feel like you've had a lot of momentum, not just from the portfolio that was added, but just the fact that you now own the co-host company. People are coming to you left and right.
Yeah, just the brand itself just leveled me up. I mean, it was crazy. Like the first day that I had the company, the biggest lead in all of Joshua Tree history came to us. And this is debatable. Obviously, the invisible house everyone talks about, but this house I think
It's like a
is
famous house,
this is a famous house that's really well. I mean, it's known to have weddings. It was a wedding venue, but it's more than that now. They're updating it. They're putting a lot of money into it. They're putting a full pool in that. I mean, the house is a Moroccan style estate, 40 acres. There's multiple boulder packs. Like it is wild. Elon Musk was there for a wedding at one point. Rihanna stayed there. You know, it's just a really cool
And this is
property,
the
I
house
think.
you manage now.
Yes, we're launching it pretty soon, the first phase, and then we're gonna update it as time goes on. But just to show you how big this property is, we have ATV for our staffs, like those like little ATVs to go around. There's a pond in the desert, like that you have to maintain and stuff like that. It's like crazy.
So this is
It's
a
crazy.
logistic. This house is more logistics than your normal
Yes,
house.
yes, it is. But it is an incredible home, and what makes it even better is the owners are so incredible. I love working with them. They're so like you think that like the harder the home, the harder the owner. In this case, the client is amazing. It's one of the best clients, and I love working with them, and it's really exciting to work together.
So question I have for you. So you added on what? How many properties from the co-host company when you took
35-ish,
35-ish?
yeah,
Prior to that, you had about 30,
50
50.
something. Yeah.
Okay, so that got you to 85. And when
Mm,
I was with you guys with you and Josh and STR
yeah.
Nation, which we could probably get into like partnership dynamics and all that, because you and Josh have a pretty funny, but works very well dynamic between you two. Shout out Josh.
It's Josh Rudin.
So after that, like people just started coming to you, leads left and right. That's what Josh was like. Oh yeah, we've gotten like 20 leads pretty much, and these are like high quality leads in the last couple weeks. Like when that happens, like how do you like decide which properties you want to take on, and then is there like, okay, there's properties we're just not going to take on at that point?
Yeah, at that point, it comes down to criteria, right? Josh and I sit down. We're like, okay, we need a formula of what we take and what we don't take. But like the first part is gonna be the owner.
Yeah, are they cool?
Are
Yeah.
they, somebody that we can work with? Are they aligned with the vision that we have? Meaning, are they gonna set crazy restrictions on us? If they're gonna do $800 minimums, we're not gonna be able to book it. Like, it's even a super property. It doesn't make sense, right? Are they gonna give us the freedom? Are they reasonable in their asks and their demeanor? How much time do they take, right? Even if they're really nice, maybe they're really anxious and they take a lot of time. Those are really hard ones. But those we usually deal with. Like if it's anxious, and like we usually set expectations, and I think usually they build trust with us over time. But then there's the home, right? Like how nice is the home? So there could be a one bedroom that's incredibly nice, but that's capped to how much money it can make. How many bedrooms does it have, slash how many amenities, right? Those are going to be more important, because like a 5 bedroom with all the amenities is going to do better than any beautiful one bedroom you put in front of me, no matter how great the land is, no matter how great anything is, because people are willing to pay more for a 4 or 5 bedroom, right? So those kind of considerations we think about, and then we put together like, okay, holistically, this is somebody we want to work with, and then this is somebody we don't want to work with.
And what we also, I said this, and I'm wondering if you guys have talked internally on it. I was like, all right, if you guys are adding all these and have all these leads, you should literally set a metric and say like, all right, for every X number we add, we should take out.
Take out,
We
yeah.
should just make a rule that we have to cut, because I feel like a lot of times you're like, oh well, it's making money. Yes, it's causing all these issues, but it's all right. We've already started it. It's and unless you have like, well, you have to do this, you're not gonna cut it.
Yeah. Oh, actually, that reminded me. Houses that are not done well is also an important metric, because if they're not done well, even though the owner's nice, everything's good, it's a high-end home, the amount of time it takes to maintain it could be astronomical. But to answer your question, yeah, 100%. Like you want to make sure that everything's. Oh, hold on. Dial in. What did you say one more time?
Well, I said if you're gonna add 20, should there
Oh,
be a
you have to
metric of
let go
like
of
I'm
some.
gonna cut
Yes.
5, like I'm gonna cut 5
Yes.
owners or
So
clients?
the way that I look at it is scale responsibly. You don't want to overload your team, because in the beginning, the first 6 months usually take the longest for that relationship, because you're building trust with the owner. The home's getting onboarded. We're doing a lot of upfront work versus one that's already running. So it's actually, we try not to let go of properties unless like there's a real reason for it. So, somebody's being more difficult, later on, like we'll kind of have the decision like, hey, we're going to have to cut you out.
So it's case by case.
It's a case by case, because if it's a good owner and it's a great client, like even if we're onboarding a lot, we don't want to cut that owner, because they're a good client to us. We want to give them everything we have. and there's going to be normal churn to begin with. Like clients leave
Yeah.
if they sell houses or
True.
whatever.
Okay.
So for us, like we take that in consideration. And we're like, okay, let this person be with us because they've done good for us and we've done good for their property, and we don't hear from them. That's fine. We just add more staff. But have I thought about, yes, wow, if I kept my top 20 homes and I cut all my staff and I just ran it like just the priority staff, the ones I really need. I've thought about that. I've ran the numbers, and it's like you basically make more money that way sometimes. And I'm thinking to myself, should I just run 20? Why do I have 100? Like, can I have 20 making me 4K a month?
4K a month each.
Yeah. Well, let's say
Yeah.
3K a month is more reasonable.
3K a month
Yeah.
each. Okay.
3K a month each. Like,
That's a pretty good life to live.
that's a great life to live. I mean, top line, you'd be making a lot, and then you probably have a CEO to run the show. You wouldn't have to be dealing with anything. You just cash in your check. But the thing is, it's bigger than that, right? The reason that we don't do that is because, one, we're scaling and we're growing, so we have more personnel than we have homes technically, but we're bringing on enough homes to support that. But the big thing is that I realize is when you have a staff, you realize that you're changing people's lives. So every day, man, and I think you see this like with the people that you hire, you give them jobs, you give them
Right,
purpose.
Sydney, my cousin who's an intern. Is your life changed? She said so
She
changed.
said so changed. So there's
Alright,
there's
we're good.
literally a
We
whole
changed
bunch of
Sydney's life. That's why we're here right now.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, what would be the point of this office?
She's leaving on Wednesday though, so looks like her life wasn't that changed.
Yeah,
Apparently.
right. She's like, yeah, peace.
College. We'll have a talk about the whole college thing later.
Come on. No, but you see, there's a lot of seats in this office, right? And like, if you're alone, you wouldn't need this cost of an office. But the thing is, like, you want to give people camaraderie. You want to give people a space to create. You want to give people a purpose in their life. And I think, like, I see it with, I went to one of my employees' kid's birthday party. We went to Dave & Buster's this literally 2 days ago. It was the best experience ever because deep down, I know that I pay both of the parents that basically supplies for the kids, right? I'm not saying I pay for their salary. They definitely work for their salary. They do everything. Like, they deserve it 100%, but it makes me feel good that our business is supporting their family. And I see their kids changing lives. I see her finally, she was like, I wish I had a horse. Like, that's what I wanted, right? We raised her salary and now she can afford a horse. She afforded a new house. Her living situation was subpar, right? The desert, you get snakes that come into your house. Like, it's crazy. So, and she's got a really nice place now. And so she has a car. I mean, it's crazy the change you can make in people's lives. And I think that's what makes me want to continue doing what I do.
Got it. And something I think you're really good at, or something you've honestly taught me is, and I know we're kind of alluding back to like being in the right room, but you like I met you at one conference and then I saw you at another one.
Mm-hmm.
You go to a hell of a ton of conferences and like, everybody who puts them on. You're networked with like everybody, like and I was with Jeff Ulahan. I don't know how to say his name, but
yep, from Host
GPO. I was also actually with Mark Hundrosky, who's Minoan. We went like an STR meetup in the city yesterday. They might actually come tomorrow, by the way.
Sweet.
To the rooftop. Jeff said he's in. Mark.
Perfect.
I gotta respond to Mark's email. He emailed me, he didn't text me. He has my number. I don't know why he emailed me. I digress, Mark. If you're listening, just text me, man. We're cool. We're friends. Don't be shy. But Jeff was like, dude, Patryk, like, he just hit me up on LinkedIn like 4 years ago. And he's like, I don't think he had any properties or anything at the time, but he just hit me up and was like, hey, I'm looking for, I don't know, I'm getting into this business and I would love to like pick your brain and talk to you or something along those lines. And I was like, yeah, I'm not surprised at all. That's very Patryk. Like, I feel like you literally like looked at the industry. You said the short-term rental, like real estate world. You found every single person and you hit up everybody and was like, I'm coming in. You were like,
Yeah.
I'm coming in. And you got opportunities brought to you. You've had a couple co-host companies that you were able to buy through connections, right?
Right.
And ultimately
100%.
through people knowing you or knowing other people who knew you. But you said, this is a world I'm diving into and I'm going to make my mark and everybody's going to know who I am.
Right. And I think that's me because I'm an extrovert, right? Like, I get me being here and talking to people and being in this space. Like, this is calling for me. This is where I feel like it's my calling. Like, it feels like I'm rejuvenating from it. When I'm alone, I go crazy. So that's just who I am. And so for anybody that's an introvert listening and it's like, I want to freaking, I don't know, I feel like you're pretty extroverted too. But if somebody's like more of an introvert, I think the number one hack that I tell people that are introverts is become friends with a Jeremy or a Patryk, because then you don't have to go out there and meet everybody. That's the hard part.
We just introduce you to
You
everybody.
you drive through their network.
Bring them in put them in the right room.
Put them in the right room. Like you talk to us, like, let's put you in this room where you're going to meet all the best STR operators at this office, that event that Jeremy's putting on, and you're going to meet everybody that you're going to need to know, and you're going to meet all the top speakers, and they're all going to fly in for you. And it's like, why are they flying in? Like, I wouldn't fly in for some random person that's coming to this meetup. I love everybody. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know them.
Yeah.
I'm flying in for
you,
you, right? Like, I'm flying in because you have a stake in this industry, and you have, like, I want to hang out with you, to be honest, and I respect you, and like, I think, and I'm willing to do whatever for you because you're in the space. You've given a lot of value to me and other people as well. So, and in retrospect, people, because we have this relationship, everyone gets to benefit from this in New York. You were able to create this. And I think everybody else that was able to drive through your network is able to have that experience, which I think is cool. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming. Yeah, no, Patryk and John were last notice. Michael and Federico are also speakers. Well, Federico lives in New York. He just happens to be in Spain right now.
Yeah.
So I didn't know, like, I was like, oh dang, you're flying back from Spain for this? I'm like, holy crap, dude.
Yeah.
Like, thank you, man. Like, well, I thought you were just gonna drive down from 2 hours upstate. Michael, he has a car and he lives in Queens. I don't think I bet he'll be the latest one, even though he's a short. I'm joking. We'll see though. We'll see.
Yeah.
Dude, well, thank you, man. Thank you for coming.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for our continued collaboration.
Yeah.
Did you have plans with your friends tonight, or are you?
No, we're gonna go. We're gonna rip it until Sunday. We're gonna hang out with some other friends.
So what can people? You're doing a lot, but like, what's in store in the immediate future for Patryk Switek?
Immediate future, building this business and sustaining it into the best possible light. I think I've scaled really fast, but I haven't really had a chance to really build the foundation. I've kind of just built the plane while I've been, trying to fly it, I guess, or jumping out of the plane.
Yeah, jump off the cliff, and you're building the parachute as you fall.
That's a great analogy.
Is that I actually don't know.
I don't know. Whatever it
Sydney.
is, I'm doing it. Yeah.
What's it? Google that. What's the quote?
But what are you doing? What are you up to?
Yeah, I mean, so few things. One,
BNBCalc.
Building BNBCalc, building under contract on a house.
It's huge
right now. To buy actually with. It's kind of cool, like a cool,
the Wisconsin one, right?
Yeah, and it's with one of my mentees who, in the last year, he's gone from like 1 to 5 in each property. He does like massive, like large barndominiums, it's a redundant word, massive barndominiums in the Midwest, and he has like a unique brand. Like he has a social media channel with an Instagram account with 30,000 followers that is purely like Midwestern large barndominium content.
That's sick.
So he has like he has a really cool moat that he's built. And we talked about the first one a year ago. He projected the numbers. I said, I think he maybe could actually do that. And he crushed it, like knocked it out of the park. And then number 2, number 3, Sam, he's sent it to me. I've given my feedback. He's worked with investors. He's asked me the feedback, or how to go back and forth with investors, or used me as a sounding board. And after the 4th one, I was like, wait a minute, why am I not an investor? like wait,
setting up the whole
bro, I'm like, I'm like telling him, oh yeah, you need to tell the investors this, like blah blah. I'm like, wait, I should just be an investor. Next one you do, let me know.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It was like a cool full circle thing. I mean, I've learned a lot from him as well, so I'm excited for this property. Also made another I made an offer on another property the other day.
Ooh.
I don't think it's gonna. We'll see if it works out. But
still making offers in this market. That's what it's all about.
Well, I try to buy like a couple a year, and I'm behind. I bought one in December of 2023, and I launched it in March, doing very well.
Yeah, that was awesome. The theater one with the theater and all that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm like, I got to do. I want to do 1 or 2-ish a year. Cost seg and whatnot, and I'm behind. So I've gotta get going.
Or you're gonna be paying those taxes, boy. You gotta get going.
Exactly. But yeah, BNBCalc, we're launching
That's
new
amazing.
features.
I love BNBCalc because I feel like you've been in growth mode on that business. From what you've told me, you've been spending a lot on making sure the product is incredible and like it's in everybody's hands more so than like even you're delaying the profit aspect of it, which is amazing because you're really focusing on development and making sure that this is valuable to everybody. And I'm really excited about BNBCalc specifically. So all of my students, we get signed up on the bulk yearly, and we work together on that, and my students love it. So it's awesome, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love
And
what you're building there.
when we were out in San Diego, it was cool because yeah, the embed feature literally like went live. Like I got a message that it went live like right before I went up to talk. So I was like, oh, now I can. It's like I'm releasing something. I felt like
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
Steve Jobs there. Like instead of the
On the
new
spot.
Apple, it's a website embed
Yeah, yeah.
feature. I don't know if that's as cool. Maybe one day we'll do something that as cool as an iPhone. Time will tell on that front. Yeah, but then that, and then I mean, this is trying to get the right people
100%.
in the right area, talking about the right things,
Pond, yeah.
and not even just the podcast, but what we're doing this weekend with
Oh,
with the
it's so
mastermind.
cool.
Like, just I believe in building community, and that's what we're doing. So, yeah, man, I'm really excited for this weekend. Thanks so much for
Dude,
flying in.
thanks for having me, man. This is awesome, dude, and I appreciate it. Love you like a brother. Yeah, thanks so much.
Likewise, homie. Well, with that, I guess today's joins episode of the
Join
Patryk Real
episode, we
Estate
run
Show,
it through.
Short Term Rental Pros
Yep.
podcast is a wrap.